Josef Jupp Heynckes is a former German football manager and former footballer. As a player, he spent the majority of his career as a striker for Borussia Mönchengladbach in its golden era of the 1960s and 1970s, where he won many national championships and the DFB-Pokal, as well as the UEFA Cup. During this period the team also played in its only European Cup final in 1977, losing to Liverpool. He is the third highest goal scorer in the history of the Bundesliga, with 220 goals. He was a member of the West German national squad that won the European Championship and the World Cup in the first half of the 1970s. As manager he won 3 Bundesliga titles with Bayern Munich and 2 UEFA Champions Leagues. With Real Madrid in 1997 a Euro 98 and Bayern in 2012 a Euro 13. Playing career, club level, Heynckes played 369 matches in the German Bundesliga, scoring 220 goals. His tally is the third highest in this league, after Gerd Müller 365 goals and Klaus Fischer's 268 goals. After playing for amateur club NWJ as a youth, Heynckes started his professional career in 1964 with his hometown club Borussia Mönchengladbach, who were then in the second division. In 1965 the club, managed by the legendary Heinz Weiseiler, achieved promotion to the Bundesliga, with the teenaged striker scoring 23 goals in 25 matches in his debut season. In August 1965, Heynckes scored his first 2 Bundesliga goals against SC Tasmania 1900 Berlin. He scored 27 Bundesliga goals in 2 seasons for Borussia before joining Hannover 96, where he spent 3 years and scored 25 times in 86 league matches. He returned to Mönchengladbach in 1970, with the club having just won the first league title in its history. With Heynckes, who scored 19 times in 33 matches, Gladbach became the first club to retain the Bundesliga title in 1970 a Euro 71. In the 1971 a Euro 72 European Cup, Heynckes scored twice in an extraordinary 7 a Euro 1 win against Italian champions Internazionale. However, the match was forced to be replayed after a drinks can had been thrown onto the pitch by a spectator, hitting Inter's Roberto Beninsfner. Borussia drew the replayed home leg 0 a Euro 0 and were eliminated 4 a Euro 2 on aggregate. In 1973, after eliminating FC Twente of the Netherlands with an aggregate score of 5 a Euro 1 in the semi-finals, Borussia Mönchengladbach became the first German side to reach the final of the UEFA Cup. Borussia lost the away leg of the final against Liverpool 3 a Euro 0 at Anfield, after the match initially had to be abandoned after 27 minutes due to a waterlogged pitch. During the match, Heynckes had a penalty kick saved by Ray Clements, denying his side a decisive away goal. In the return leg Heynckes scored both goals in Gladbach's 2 a Euro 0 win. However, the English team prevailed 3 a Euro 2 on aggregate to lift the trophy. With 12 goals Heynckes was joint top scorer of the competition with Twente's Jan During. Despite disappointment in Europe, Gladbach ended the 1973 a Euro 74 season with success in the DFB-Pokal final, beating 1. FC Karl-Ellen at the Rheinstadion in Darwin-Düsseldorf. In the 1973 a Euro 74 season, Heynckes was joint top goal scorer in the Bundesliga, alongside Gerd Müller, with 30 goals. His Mönchengladbach side finished second in the table, with Mönchengladbach's FC Bayern Munich winning a record 3rd consecutive Bundesliga title. Heynckes was also the top scorer of the 1973 a Euro 74 European Cup Winners' Cup with 8 goals. In this competition Borussia Mönchengladbach were knocked out in the semi-finals by AC Milan, losing 2 a Euro 1 on aggregate. In 1974 a Euro 75, Die Fohlen won their 3rd Bundesliga title, with Heynckes finishing as the league's outright top goal scorer with 27 goals. The club also won its first European trophy with success in the UEFA Cup. After a 0 a Euro 0 draw in the home leg of the final against Twente, Heynckes, who missed the home match, scored a hat-trick in a 5 a Euro 1 away win in Ingolstadt. This victory made Gladbach the first German winners of the UEFA Cup. Again, Heynckes was tournament top scorer, this time with 10 goals. Altogether Heynckes scored 23 goals in 21 games in the UEFA Cup, making him the 9th highest goal scorer in the history of the competition, and the only member of the top 10 to have scored at a ratio of over a goal per game. After regaining the title, Weisler left Borussia to become manager of FC Barcelona. He was replaced by Udo Lattek, under whom Heynckes would later begin his coaching career. Borussia Mönchengladbach went on to win the 1975 Euro 76 and 1976 Euro 77 Bundesliga titles, matching Bayern's feat of 3 titles in a row set earlier in the decade. In 1977, Borussia also reached its first European Cup final. In the previous season's competition Heynckes had been top scorer with 6 goals. In 1976 Euro 77 European Cup he was less prolific, scoring only 1 goal in the first round match against FK Austria Wien. In the final Gladbach again lost out to Liverpool, losing 3-1 at Rome's Stadio Olimpico. Heynckes scored 18 goals in the 1977 Euro 78 Bundesliga season, including 5 in the record 12-0 win against Borussia Dortmund on the final day of the season. However, this was not enough to secure a 4th successive title, as 1. FC Karl-Ln won their final match against FC St. Pauli 5-0 to take first place by 3 goals. Heynckes scored 4 goals in the 1977 Euro 78 European Cup as the team reached the semi-finals, where they were again defeated by Liverpool. Altogether, Heynckes scored 51 goals in 64 matches in European club competitions. His average of 0.8 goals per match is only bettered by compatriot Gerdmar haɪnkəs, who achieved an average of 0.89 goals per match. Heynckes ended his playing career in 1978 and began studying for his coaching license at the Deutsche Sporthochschule Karl-Ln. During his club career he won 4 Bundesliga titles, 1 DFB-Pokal, and 1 UEFA Cup. He is the 3rd highest goal scorer in Bundesliga history and Borussia Mönchengladbach's top goal scorer in the competition with 195 goals. International level, Heynckes made 39 appearances for the West German national team and scored 14 goals. In February 1967, he made his international debut at the age of 21, scoring in a 5-1 friendly win against Morocco. Heynckes was a member of the West Germany team that won the 1972 European Championship, playing 90 minutes in the 3-0 win over the Soviet Union in the final. He was named by UEFA as one of 7 German players in the official team of the tournament. Heynckes was included in West Germany's squad for the 1974 World Cup, which was held in the Bundesrepublik. However, despite his excellent form at club level, he spent most of the tournament on the bench as Gerdmar haɪnkəs, the national team's all-time top goal scorer, was used as the starting centre-forward by coach Helmut Schär. Heynckes was in the starting lineup for West Germany's opening 2 fixtures against Chile and Australia but then played no further part due to injury as Die Nationale won their 2nd World Cup, beating the Netherlands 2-1 in the final at Munich's Olympiastadion. In 2013, Heynckes said of his experience at the 1974 World Cup, "I was in the starting lineup for the German national team competing for the World Cup, but after an injury I was sidelined for the entire final. This was the greatest disappointment of my life, but it spurred me on and became my greatest source of motivation." Managerial career, Borussia Mönchengladbach. After his playing career, Heynckes stayed with Borussia Mönchengladbach and served the club for 8 more years, first as an assistant and then as a manager, succeeding Udo Lattek in this position in 1979 at the age of 34. In his first season as manager, Heynckes led Gladbach to the 1980 UEFA Cup final, where they lost to Eintracht Frankfurt. In the 1983 Euro 84 season Die Fohlen finished 3rd in the Bundesliga, missing out on the league title to VfB Stuttgart on goal difference. The team also reached the DFB Pokal final, losing to Bayern Munich on penalties. In the third round of the 1985 Euro 86 UEFA Cup, Gladbach beat Real Madrid 5-1 at the Bar Paragraph Kelberg Stadion. However, a 4-0 loss at the Estadio Santiago Bernabéu copyright U in the second leg saw Borussia eliminated on the away goals rule. In 2013, Heynckes described it as the worst night of my career. In his final season in charge, Heynckes led Gladbach to another third-place finish in the UEFA Cup semi-final. Despite not winning a trophy during his spell as manager of his hometown club, a record that earned him the nickname the champion without a title, he was appointed as manager of champions Bayern Munich in the summer of 1987, where he again succeeded the outgoing Udo Lack. Bayern Munich, Heynckes was manager of Bayern Munich between 1987 and 1991. In his first season Bayern lost out on the Bundesliga title by 4 points to Werder Bremen before winning back-to-back titles in 1988 Euro 89 and 1989 Euro 90. The club then achieved another second-placed finish in 1990 Euro 91. Heynckes was fired by Bayern in October 1991, after the team had won only 4 of its first 12 Bundesliga matches. His final match as coach was a 4-1 home defeat to Stuttgarter Kickers. The team continued to struggle after his departure, eventually finishing 5 points clear of relegation in 10th place. The decision to sack Heynckes was later described by general manager Uli Hoeneß as the biggest mistake of my career. Under Heynckes, Bayern reached the semi-finals of the 1988 Euro 89 UEFA Cup, the 1989 Euro 90 European Cup and the 1990 Euro 91 European Cup. In each campaign they were knocked out by the team which went on to win the competition. Athletic Bilbao. In 1992, he was appointed manager of Athletic Club of Bilbao, becoming only the third German manager in Spain's La Liga after Heinz Weiseiler and Udo Lack, both of whom managed FC Barcelona. After an 8th-placed finish in his first season, he led the Basque club to 5th spot in the league and qualification for the UEFA Cup in 1993 Euro 94. Eintracht Frankfurt. In 1994, Heynckes returned to Germany to become manager of Eintracht Frankfurt. His spell at the Eintracht was problematic and he clashed with the club's star players Anthony Yeboah, J.J. Okocha and Maurizio Gaudino. In December 1994, the 3 players were punished for a perceived lack of effort with extra training sessions. Because of this the players refused to play in Eintracht's next match against Hamburger SV and were indefinitely suspended by the club. Gaudino was loaned out to Manchester City later in the month and Yeboah was sold to Leeds United in January 1995. Okocha was later allowed to return to the team before leaving for Fenerbahçe Section ESK. In 1996, Heynckes left the club in April 1995 after a 3-0 home defeat to Schalke 04 with the team in 13th place in the table. Tenerife. In 1995, Heynckes returned to Spain to take over at CD Tenerife. In his first season he led the team from the Canary Islands into the UEFA Cup with a 5th-placed finish in La Liga. The following season the club finished 9th in La Liga and reached the semi-finals of the UEFA Cup, where they were beaten by eventual winners Schalke. Real Madrid. In June 1997, Heynckes was hired by the Spanish champions Real Madrid. There, he celebrated one of his greatest triumphs, beating Juventus 1-0 in the 1998 UEFA Champions League final to return the European Cup to Madrid for the first time since 1966. However, the lack of domestic success a Euro finishing 4th, 11 points behind champions Barcelona Euro saw his tenure terminated at the end of the season. Benfica. After his dismissal by Real Madrid, Heynckes took a year out of football before joining Portuguese club SL Benfica for the 1999 Euro 00 season. Benfica finished third in Heynckes' only full season in charge and were knocked out of the UEFA Cup at the third round with an 8-1 aggregate defeat by Celta de Vigo, losing the first leg 7-0. After releasing club icon and captain João Paulo Pinto, who then joined Lisbon rivals Sporting Camp, Heynckes became unpopular with the Benfica fans and left the club by mutual agreement in September 2000. Returned to Athletic. In 2001, Heynckes returned to Athletic Club for a second spell as coach. In the 2001-02 season, Athletic finished ninth in La Liga, missing out on qualification to the UEFA Cup by a point, and reached the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey. The following season, Athletic secured a seventh-place finish, again finishing 1 point short of UEFA Cup qualification. In June 2003, Heynckes left Athletic to become head coach of Schalke 04. Record at Athletic, Schalke 04, in 2003, after 8 years managing in Iberia, Heynckes returned to his homeland to manage Schalke 04. Upon joining Dikar Paragraph Nijglaun, Heynckes said, "Schalke is something special, for many it is like a religion, for me it is an absolutely ideal position." Despite targeting a top 5 finish upon his appointment, Heynckes Schalke ended the 2003-04 season in 7th place in the Bundesliga. In September 2004, with Schalke in the relegation zone after losing 3 of their opening 4 Bundesliga matches, Heynckes was fired by the club's general manager Rudi Assauer. Returned to Borussia Mönchengladbach. In May 2006, Heynckes returned to manage Borussia Mönchengladbach, the club where he had begun his career as both a player and manager, for the second time. Heynckes' comeback started well, with Gladbach in 5th position in the Bundesliga at the end of the 7th match day after winning each of their opening 4 home matches. However, he resigned in January 2007 after 14 consecutive Bundesliga matches without a win saw Borussia drop to 17th place in the table. According to Heynckes, threats to his life were a contributing factor to this decision, with the coach requiring police protection for matches against VfL Bochum and Energie Cottbus in the previous month. On departing Borussia, Heynckes refused a payoff and returned his company car to the club office freshly cleaned and with a full tank of petrol. In May 2013, upon returning to Borussia Park for his final match as a Bundesliga coach, Heynckes said, "This is my club. It's where I started as a 19-year-old professional, then worked as a coach. Since then I have come full circle. Mönchengladbach is my hometown. I spent 23 years at the club, so this will not be just a normal game for me." The team's fortunes did not improve after Heynckes' departure and the club was relegated at the end of the season, finishing last in the Bundesliga table. Record at Borussia Mönchengladbach, caretaker spell at Bayern Munich. After over 2 years out of the game, Heynckes came out of retirement and returned to football in April 2009, becoming caretaker manager of his former club Bayern Munich, replacing the sacked Jan-Quarter Gien Klinsmann. Bayern were in danger of missing out on qualification for the Champions League upon Heynckes' appointment, but the team won 4 and drew 1 of its remaining matches, finishing second in the Bundesliga, 2 points behind champions VfL Wolfsburg. Bayer Leverkusen. In June 2009, Heynckes signed a 2-year contract to manage Bayer 04 Leverkusen. The team started the season with a record 24 Bundesliga games unbeaten, challenging Bayern Munich for the league title. The team's unbeaten record finally came to an end in March 2010 with a 3-2 defeat at 1. FC now Jan-Quarter RNBERG, after which Leverkusen only won 2 of their final 9 matches and finished in 4th place. In the 2010-11 season, Leverkusen finished runner-up in the Bundesliga to Borussia Dortmund, thus qualifying for the Champions League for the first time since 2005. It was also the club's highest final league position since the 2001-02 season. Despite his success, Heynckes decided not to extend his contract and left Bayer Leverkusen in the 2011 close season to take over at Bayern Munich for a 3rd time. Third spell at Bayern Munich. On March 25, 2011, it was announced that Heynckes would be replacing Louis van Gaal as the manager of Bayern Munich at the beginning of the 2011-12 season. At the age of 66, he was the oldest coach in the Bundesliga. Heynckes took over a team which had finished 3rd in the 2010-11 Bundesliga, 3 points behind his Bayer Leverkusen side. 2011-12 season. Bayern started the season with a surprise 1-0 defeat to Heynckes' former club Borussia Mönchengladbach at the Allianz Arena, before 6 consecutive Bundesliga wins without conceding took them to the top of the table. In all competitions Bayern kept 12 consecutive clean sheets, including 4 UEFA Champions League matches, the last of which came in for a Euro-0 win over Hertha BSC. This run of good form ended with a 2-1 defeat to Hannover 96, and losses to Borussia Dortmund and 1. FSV Mainz 05 soon followed, allowing Dortmund, the previous season's champions, to overtake Bayern at the top of the table. Bayern briefly regained top spot in January and February, but after the Bavarians' draw with Hamburger SV on matchday 20, Dortmund again gained first position and went on to retain their title by 8 points, ending the season on a 28-match unbeaten run. On March 17, 2012, Heynckes oversaw his 600th Bundesliga match as manager, a 6-0 victory over Hertha BSC. His opposing coach that day, Otto Rehagel, is the only coach who has managed more Bundesliga matches. After finishing the league season in second place, Bayern faced champions Dortmund in the 2012 DFB-Pokal final and were thrashed 5-2. Despite their disappointments in domestic competitions, Heynckes Bayern had qualified for the 2012 UEFA Champions League final in April 2012, defeating Real Madrid on penalty kicks in the semi-finals. In the final, held at Bayern's home stadium, Die Rotten faced English club Chelsea. Despite controlling most of the match and taking a 1-0 lead in the 83rd minute, Bayern lost the match for a 3 on penalties. This meant that Bayern had finished as runners-up in all 3 major competitions they had competed in 2011 Euro 2012 Euro 13 season. Bayern started the 2012 Euro 13 season by defeating Borussia Dortmund 2-1 in the DFL Super Cup. It was a significant result as the Bavarians had lost all 3 encounters with Die Schwarzgelben in the previous season, and the last 5 encounters between the clubs overall. Bayern's Bundesliga campaign began with a record-breaking 8 consecutive wins before they suffered their only league defeat of the season at Leverkusen. Bayern quickly regained form and went into the winter break 9 points clear at the top of the table. On January 16, 2013, FC Bayern Munich announced that former FC Barcelona coach Pep Guardiola would replace the 67-year-old Heynckes in July 2013. General manager Uli Hoeneß later stated that it was not Heynckes' decision to leave Bayern at the end of the season and was forced by the club's wish to appoint Guardiola. Though the club's press release announcing Bayern's agreement with Guardiola had claimed Heynckes would be retiring on the expiration of his contract, he stated he would not make a decision on his future until the end of the season. After returning from the winter break, Bayern only dropped 2 points in the entire second half of the Bundesliga season, winning 14 consecutive matches from January onwards and being confirmed as champions on April 6, 2013. This was the earliest a team had ever won the Bundesliga, and Bayern broke several other records during the season including most points in a season, highest league winning points margin, most wins in a season, longest winning streak in a season, most clean sheets in a season, best goal difference in a season and fewest goals conceded in a season. The team scored in every match and suffered only 1 defeat. On February 23, 2013, Heynckes participated in his 1,000th Bundesliga match as player and manager combined, making him the man with the second most appearances in Bundesliga history. On May 14, 2013, he took charge of a Bundesliga match for what he claimed to be the final time. Fittingly, the match was away at Borussia Mönchengladbach, Heynckes' hometown club who he served for over 20 years as a player and coach. In the Champions League, Bayern faced Barcelona at the semi-final stage, thrashing the favourites 7-0 on aggregate to reach a second successive final. The performance was seen as a display of physical and tactical superiority of Bayern over Barcelona. In the 2013 UEFA Champions League final, Heynckes Bayern defeated Bundesliga rivals Borussia Dortmund 2-1 at Wembley Stadium, making him the 4th manager to win the competition with 2 different clubs. On June 1, 2013, Heynckes took charge of Bayern for the last time in the 2013 DFB-Pokal final against VfB Stuttgart. Bayern won the match 3-2, becoming the first German club to complete the treble of the domestic league, the domestic cup and the European Cup. former Bayern and West Germany captain Franz Beckenbauer, who led Die Rotten to 3 consecutive European Cup wins in the 1970s, called Heynckes' 2012 a Euro 13 side the best Bayern team ever. A view shared by the club's legendary forward Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. On June 4, 2013, Heynckes announced he would not coach a team during the 2013 a Euro 14 season. On June 21, in an interview with Der Spiegel, Heynckes said, "After everything that's happened over the past 2 years, I'm ready for some peace and quiet. After this string of successes, I could transfer to just about any club in Europe. I have a problem with the finality of saying never. But I can assure you that I have no intention of coaching again. I had a worthy ending." Record at Bayern Munich. As of June 1, 2013, Özram, Heynckes' face is known to redden noticeably when he is under stress or in a generally agitated state, especially as a manager on the sidelines during a match. This has earned him the nickname Özram. Rudi Gors is said to have first used this moniker to describe Heynckes. Later, the nickname became universally known among German football aficionados and has been used by the media as well. Career statistics. Playing career statistics, 1. Includes Regionalliga promotion playoffs, DFB Pokal and Intercontinental Cup. Managerial statistics, as of June 1, 2013, Honours, Player, Borussia Mönchengladbach, UEFA Cup, 1974 a Euro 75, Bundesliga, 1970 a Euro 71, 1974 a Euro 75. 1975 a Euro 76, 1976 a Euro 77, DFB-Pokal, 1972 a Euro 73, West Germany, FIFA World Cup, 1974, UEFA European Championship, 1972, Manager, Bayern Munich, UEFA Champions League, 2012 a Euro 13, Bundesliga, 1988 a Euro 89, 1989 a Euro 90. 2012 a Euro 13, DFB-Pokal, 2012 a Euro 13, DFL Super Cup, 1987, 1990, 2012 Real Madrid, UEFA Champions League, 1997 a Euro 98, Supercopa de Espanha +or-A, 1997, Schalke 04, UEFA Intertoto Cup, 2003, 2004, Individual. FIFA World Coach of the Year 2013, IFFHS World's Best Club Coach 2013 runner-up, 1998, One-Stock Coach of the Year 2013, German Football Manager of the Year 2013, German Top Scorer, 1974. 1975, European Cup Top Scorer, 1976, UEFA Euro Team of the Tournament, 1972, References. External links, Jupp Heynckes at Eintracht Archivde, Jupp Heynckes at Fußballdeutende, Jupp Heynckes at worldfootball.net.